Friends, welcome to Biology Made Easy. Today in this video we'll discuss the different examples of natural selection. So let us start one by one. So the first is industrial melanism. The first example is industrial melanism. Now this is one of the very good examples to show that how the nature has selected a particular type of species over another. And one of the very best example in this industrial melanism is peppered moth. Peppered moth, and the zoological name is Biston betaluria. Biston betaluria. So this is the example. In this particular species, there are two varieties. One variety is light colored, or we can tell light variety, and it is known as Biston betaluria typica. The light variety was known as Biston betaluria typica. And another one is the black variety, and is known as Biston betaluria carbonaria. So from this Biston betaluria, the normal is the light variety, but as a result of single large mutation on the melanin pigment, this has been produced. So this has been produced as a result of single mutation on melanin pigment, so that it became the black variety. Now let us consider the case before industrialization in England. That means, see, prior to, you will consider prior to 1850. So there was no industrialization, and in nature the lichens grew luxuriantly in the bark of the trees. So the lichens were white in color, and now this Biston betaluria typica variety, this is also light in color. So they take rest in this white color lichens, so they cannot be easily detected by their predators. So their number naturally increases. That means, see, the number of this Biston betaluria, or let us write the light variety, so that easily you can remember. The light variety increased because they are not detected by their predators. But this black variety, when they were taking rest on this white lichens, they are easily detected by the predators. So the black variety, their number decreased. So this is prior to industrialization. That is prior to industrialization. Prior to industrialization in England. Then industrialization, what is happening during industrialization? During industrialization, what happened? Now during industrialization, the coal was burnt in the different factories and sulfur dioxide was released. This sulfur dioxide, along with the sulfur dioxide, the smoke was there. So this smoke along with the soot materials they are deposited on the bark of the trees, so that the barks became darker and darker. The barks became darker. Again, to the sulfur dioxide, the lichens are very sensitive. Lichens are sensitive. That means two things happened. That means due to release of sulfur dioxide, the lichens were destroyed because they are very sensitive to sulfur dioxide. On the other hand, the release of a smoke and a soot that are deposited on the already dark barks, so that it became more darker. Now what happened? Now in the dark background of the bark, that means the dark bark, the white varieties of pepper moth, they were easily detected by their predators. So naturally their number was decreased. But for the survival of that moth, nature has already created this mutant variety, that is black variety, so that the moth will never be destroyed. Now the bark is dark and it is still becoming darker due to the smoke. Now what happened to this black variety? Now the black variety of a pepper moth, it increased in its number because it has selective advantage over that of the white variety. And all the details of this, how the white is decreasing, black is increasing, all these details, they are studied by Dr. H.B.D. Kettlewell in 1950. That means how the nature is selecting one after another depending on the changes in the environment. The details are studied by him. Now, this is before industrialization, this is during industrialization. Now, what happened during the post-industrialization? Post-industrialization, that means after 1920. Now, due to the development in science, the use of coal was decreased and the coal was replaced by oil, electricity, and also there are soot filter devices were applied. That means the soot was not released and coal was replaced by oil and electricity. That means the amount of smoke that was released from the factories decreased. Now when this decreased, in the areas where is pollution free, in the pollution free areas, again lichens grew. So again the bark of the trees became white. Now when the lichens grew and the bark became trees, now it favored the white variety, but didn't favor the black variety. So now the lighter variety increased and the darker variety again decreased. That means this clearly demonstrates that with the change in the environment, how the different varieties are adjusting itself with the environment. This is known as natural selection. This is one of the best examples, that's industrial melanism, that how with the change of the environment, the organisms are adapting themselves to the changed environment. So this is one of the good examples. Now let us take a second example, that is pesticide resistance. So pesticide resistance, so that is also one of the very good examples of this natural selection. Pesticide resistant, second example, pesticide resistant mosquitoes. Now, usually the mosquitoes, they create a lot of health hazard because they cause malaria and also filaria. In post 1945, when the pesticide DDT was discovered, and it was thought that the use of a DDT will kill the mosquitoes, the houseflies, and the body lice. And immediately, actually, the DDT killed them. But everything changed after 2 to 3 years of the introduction of the DDT. After 2 to 3 years, it was found that the mosquitoes became resistant to DDT. And it was so prominent that ultimately the use of DDT in the households was banned, because there are more production of DDT resistant mosquitoes. So what happened? How it is possible? It is possible because among the mosquitoes there were some mutant varieties. There are some mutant varieties of mosquitoes among the susceptible ones. But these mutant variety of mosquitoes, they are unable to compete with the susceptible ones. Those which are very sensitive to DDT, they couldn't compete with them because their number was very less. Now, when DDT was applied, the sensitive mosquitoes, they are all killed. Their number decreased rapidly. Now, the mutant variety of mosquito, these are resistant varieties. So the resistant varieties, now they do not have any other mosquito to compete with them. Now, they have a selective advantage. They have selective advantage over these sensitive mosquitoes. As a result, their number increased rapidly. So this is how the evolution is taking place, and these mosquitoes, they become sensitive to DDTs. That means they were present. With the change of the condition, one variety dominates the another. Now this same example can be also given in a second case, that is in case of scale insects. For this pesticide, I am giving another example, that is scale insects. The scale insects, they act as pests on citrus plants. And to kill these pests, usually hydrocyanic acid, HCN, was used. It is a pesticide. But it was found that there are some mutant varieties which we can call them as resistant to hydrocyanic acid. So when this hydrocyanic acid was killed, those which are very sensitive to this, they were killed. And the less number of these scale insects which were resistant to hydrocyanic acid, now they rapidly grew, they rapidly multiplied themselves. So they became dominant. So these are the two examples, one with the scale insects and the other in case of mosquitoes. And they are the good examples how that pesticide resistant organisms are produced. Now let us give a third example, that is the sickle cell anemia. So the third example that will give is sickle cell anemia. Now the sickle cell anemia, it is one of the best examples for human population. The sickle cell anemia, it takes place due to a single base substitution. Due to a single base substitution in a gene which produces hemoglobin, and in hemoglobin there are 2 alpha chains and 2 beta chains. So as a result of this mutation, what happens in the second beta chain? In the second beta chain, at the 6th position, glutamic acid is replaced by valine. As a result, what happens? The normal hemoglobin changes to sickle cell hemoglobin. It changes to sickle cell hemoglobin. That means as a result of a single change in the nitrogen base, the normal hemoglobin is changing to sickle cell hemoglobin. Now, when this sickle cell hemoglobin is present, in what happens? The RBCs becomes sickle shaped. They become sickle shaped, and they are destroyed. As a result, they do not allow the tissues to carry oxygen. That means the oxygen carrying capacity of the RBC is changed. So as a result, what happens? Now, if there will be it will be in homozygous condition. If in a person there will be homozygous condition, this is a homozygous condition, what will happen? The person will suffer from sickle cell anemia, and the person suffering from this anemic condition within 20 years will die. That means the survival is very rare. Now the question is, if it is so dangerous, why it is still present in the human population? What is the answer to this question? The answer is, if you look into the geographical distribution of human beings, where this condition is present, where it is in heterozygous condition, then we can get the answer. Usually, in the tropical and subtropical regions of Africa, tropical and subtropical areas of Africa, what happens? Usually this normal, homozygous, heterozygous, all these conditions are prevalent. Why? You see, in this tropical and subtropical Africa, usually it is malaria prone areas. That is, malaria, the mosquitoes, they are abundant there and they cause malaria. So what happens? Now you see, this is one of the very interesting aspects. Now in the tropical and subtropical Africa areas, if a person is homozygous for the sickle cell, what will happen? The person will the person will die due to severe anemia. Because homozygous for this hemoglobin and it is sickle cell hemoglobin, so the person will not survive, will die. Now come to the second case. Suppose one is homozygous normal. So if it is homozygous normal, now this person will suffer from malaria, because the malaria parasites will infect and the malaria parasite will grow within its blood, and there is every chance that these persons will die due to malaria. Now see, both these homozygotes, their chance of survival is very rare, because those who are homozygous to the sickle cell, they will die due to severe anemia. Those who are homozygous to the normal hemoglobin, there is every chance that they will die due to malaria. Now those who are heterozygotes, for the hemoglobin, what will happen to them? Now 50% of RBC, they are normal round by concave, and the other 50% of RBC, they are sickle shaped. So since these are destroyed, that means their power of accepting oxygen is less. The capacity to receive oxygen is less. So if their capacity to receive oxygen or to utilize oxygen is less, why these persons are surviving in the tropical, subtropical areas of Africa? That is the question. Now, the answer lies with natural selection. The nature has selected this variety of human beings. They should survive because when these heterozygotes will be infected by malaria parasite, the malaria parasite cannot complete its life cycle. Its physiogeny cannot be completed within their blood, because their 50% of RBCs are sickle celled, so it cannot complete its life cycle. That means these people will never suffer from malaria. So neither they will suffer, though they are carriers of sickle cell anemia, and there will be some problem when the amount of oxygen is less, but neither they will die due to severe anemia, nor they will die due to malaria. They will survive as normal persons, except the conditions of low oxygen. That is why the nature has not eliminated them completely. So you see how the nature is acting on these things. So this is again one of the very good examples. And again this is the example of also the balancing selection. This is example of balancing selection that we have discussed in the different types of selection. So this is a balancing selection and the disruptive and progressive. So this is coming under balancing selection. How? Now see, this is the normal population. Now what happens? Now the extremes are not favored. Now these are the normal hemoglobin. Normal hemoglobin, and this is sickle cell hemoglobin. So the normal and sickle cell hemoglobin, these people they will die. These people will die due to malaria. These people will die due to severe anemia. While these people, they will survive. That means the nature favors them. So this is balancing. So these are the three different types of examples we will discuss today in this video. Now let us discuss the questions. So one question is, industrial melanism is an example of first choice neo-Lamarckism, second choice neo-Darwinism, third choice natural selection, fourth choice is mutation. So this question was asked in NEET 2015. Actually in 2015 the name was AIPMT. In 13 NEET, again in 17 it became NEET, but in 15 and 16 it became AIPMT. So this is one question. Now come to the second question. The industrial melanism was highlighted by first choice Mimosa pudica, second choice Triticum estivum, third choice Biston betaluria, and the fourth choice polar bear. This question was asked in Carol PMT 2008. So easily you can answer both the questions because we have discussed all these things. So thank you very much for watching the video, and God bless you.